Have you not been feeling like yourself lately and wondering what the heck is going on? And right now, you're hearing a lot more about hormone replacement therapy or HRT, but what is it actually? And is it something that's going to work for you? So, if you've been trying to connect those dots, stick around. Today, I'm going to break down the hormones that can be involved in HRT, what they do in the body, the symptoms they help with, and the different forms they come in. And if you have been trying to connect the dots between the symptoms and what the heck is going on in your body, stick around because I've created the menopause symptom tracker and doctor conversation guide that I'll tell you about more later in the video. Basically, hormone replacement therapy, hormone therapy, HRT, and you're going to hear all three of those terms, is a treatment that's going to help women with the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. So they're used for symptoms like hot flashes, sleep issues, brain fog. But beyond that, hormones can also support bone health, brain function, heart health, vaginal health, and just your overall quality of life. And hormones aren't viewed the same as they were years ago. The conversation has changed a lot, and we now understand much more about how individualized hormone therapy is for women. And if you haven't watched my first video about why HRT conversation changed so much over the years, make sure you go back and watch it because it's going to really help explain why the hormones became so weird in the first place and why we're working now to get that conversation back again. So let's start with estrogen therapy because it's the hormone we hear the most about when it comes to perimenopause and HRT. When we think of estrogen, we think periods and reproduction, but estrogen actually plays a much bigger role in the body than that. Estrogen is one of the key hormones that help regulate and support many systems in our bodies, and it affects the brain, the bones, our heart, and even our temperature regulation. So during perimenopause, as your estrogen is declining and fluctuating, women often begin noticing symptoms that seem random at first. So one woman may struggle with hot flashes and sleep, another with anxiety, brain fog, somebody with bladder issues and aching joints. And that is one of the reasons I create a symptom tracker for women, because sometimes we don't realize that all these random symptoms may actually be connected. When it comes to estrogen therapy, it comes in many different forms, and the best option really depends on the woman, her symptoms, her health history, and what she's hoping to improve. Okay, first, there are pills. So they're taken orally daily, and you want to make sure you're taking them every day because you want to keep that therapeutic level up. And then you get patches, and you just stick them on, and you can forget them for a couple of days. And they're going to slowly release estrogen into your bloodstream. And this is what the size of a patch is. Not very big. I was amazed when I took out my first one how tiny it was. I expected a big patch. So depending on your dosage level, they can be a little bit bigger or smaller. Next are the vaginal creams that are used locally, and they help symptoms like vaginal dryness, discomfort, urinary issues. They don't affect the whole body the way the pills and patches do because they're not absorbed. So they're an option that most women can use safely, even if they've had health concerns or a history of breast cancer. Local vaginal and bladder symptoms sometimes need some extra support too, so they can be used alongside with the pills or the patches. There are also a few other forms, such as sprays and gels, but they're less commonly used. Most women decide between the pills and the patches, and it's between you and your healthcare provider to come up with the best option is for you. That's one reason why tracking your symptoms can be helpful because we don't always realize that these different symptoms can actually be connected. And that's why I created the menopause symptom tracker and doctor conversation guide to help women start connecting those dots and feel more prepared for those conversations with their doctor. Next is progesterone, and it's one of the first hormones to start dropping as our ovulation becomes less regular. So, progesterone helps balance out the estrogen and is important for sleep and maintaining a healthy uterine lining. So, when the progesterone level starts fluctuating or dropping, you're going to notice issues like sleep problems, increased anxiety, or feeling more on edge, having irregular or heavier cycles during perimenopause, some mood swings. Sometimes you just get that wired but tired feeling. If a woman still has her uterus and is using estrogen therapy, progesterone therapy has to be added along with it to help protect the uterine lining. And progesterone comes in a couple different forms also. Most often it's taken by a pill, but it can be used as a combination patch that there's both estrogen and progesterone. And as with estrogen, the best option depends on the individual woman, her symptoms, and her health history. Next, let's talk about testosterone because this is the one hormone that I think surprises a lot of women. We tend to think of testosterone as the male hormone, but we make testosterone also, but just in smaller amounts. But it's really important for us because it can affect things like your libido, energy, motivation, muscle strength, and just that overall sense of drive and vitality. Testosterone is most often prescribed as creams or gels, and they're applied to the skin. Because we need a much smaller amount than men, dosing becomes really important. Testosterone therapy for women has become a much bigger conversation in recent years, but testosterone gets to be a little more complicated because there currently isn't an FDA approved testosterone product specifically made for women in the United States. So, definitely needing to have those individualized conversations about risks, benefits, dosing, and the options. Just remember, HRT is one tool in your toolbox. It can be incredibly helpful to some women, but it's not the whole picture. Lifestyle, nutrition, sleep, stress management, and movement all matter too. There's many ways to support yourself through this phase, and you get to decide what works best for your body. So, if you're wondering if HRT is right for you, the next video will dive into who may benefit, who might need alternative options, and what to consider. And if you're starting to think you may want to talk to your doctor about your perimenopause symptoms and HRT, I have the menopause symptom tracker and doctor conversation guide I've been talking about. And it's going to help you track your symptoms, organize your thoughts, help you prepare some questions for your appointments, and better understand today's conversations about menopause and HRT. I also included current information and resources around menopause and hormone therapy so that you can feel well informed and confident going into your doctor's appointment. You can check out the details in the description below and let me know what you think about HRT, what your experiences are, and what you would like to know more about.